Hello, I'm Greg Holloway, and welcome to the Common Sense Texans video debate among the Republican gubernatorial candidates, Rick Perry, Kay Bailey Hutchison, and Deborah Medina. Each of the candidates will be presented with 10 questions that have been prepared by grassroots conservatives around the state. Now let's go to one of these questions right now.
Gosh, public life. I can't think. We'll have to come back to that one. I'll see if I can come up with an answer. You know, that's a tough question for me. I've had really a fairly limited public life. I've served for just over 5 years as the Republican County Chairman in Wharton County, and of course now have been pursuing the nomination for the Republican Party as governor for almost a year here in Texas. I can't point to any one thing in particular. Certainly all of us make mistakes. I think what we're looking for is accountability and honesty in our elected officials. Where those mistakes have been made, not someone who will cover them up, but someone who will admit that, hey, maybe that wasn't handled in the way it should have been, and had I that to do over again. The thing that probably is most misreported in my public life recently would have to do with the lawsuit that I filed against the Republican Party of Texas. That was unfortunate that that matter had to go to court. In fact, there was never any intention to take it to court. The desire there was to make sure that the Republican Party of Texas, in the conduct of its state convention, followed the Texas election code. We hoped and believed, and our legal counsel believed, that when that matter was addressed with the Republican Party, they would quickly recognize the error and they would correct it. It's unfortunate that it had to go to court and that there's been so much misinformation and maybe misdirection to the people of Texas. That matter remains unresolved today. While the party reported that they had won an award against me for legal fees, we had an appellate court overturn that decision, and that information was made available on December 31st. So there has been no award of legal fees. Unfortunately, the matter remains unresolved. We conduct precinct conventions, county and Senate district conventions in the state of Texas according to the order of business prescribed in the Texas election code. Unfortunately, we reversed that order of business. Even though the code reads identically the same for the state convention, we alter the order of business at the state convention. There are a number of reasons why that might happen, and I certainly have an opinion about it. But the bottom line is we have a Texas election code. It is the law in Texas, and everyone ought to follow it, including the Republican Party of Texas. I hope that we can resolve that issue without having to go back to court this year, but it's one of the things I think that has been maybe mischaracterized. I hope that people will understand that and know that I would be willing and am willing to discuss it, to tell the truth, and to share with Texas what's happening within the political world that Texas citizens participate in. Thank you.
A mistake in my public life. That's the hardest question you asked me all day.
Yeah, well, if you know your private life, that's okay.
Yeah. I only made one mistake in my private life, and that was not marrying my wife soon enough. You know, I dated my wife for 16 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we dated for 16 years. That was a little bit long. So.
Well, what did you do about that?
Yeah, I finally got it done. Yeah, I'm not sure there's any, you know, big mistake in my public life's past that is worth dwelling on. I'm about looking to the future. I'm about finding the answers to challenges that face us as a state. So, and there are plenty out there in front of us. So I think spending any time looking backwards is not particularly productive. How are we going to build our transportation infrastructure? How are we going to build out the power and move that power around in the state? You know, we lead the nation in wind production, but we've got to be able to move it to where the people are. How are we going to get the water resources that we need to build out our state? People are moving here, or our rolls in the state are growing by better than 1,000 people a day. They're going to use a lot of water. Dallas's major restriction to growth in the future is their access to water. So having those visions in place, whether it's how we're going to build those roads that we're going to need to move our people and our produce and our products safely and expeditiously, how are we going to move the water resources in this state? How are we going to develop more water resources, whether it's expanding the desalination projects that we have on the books, or whether it's building reservoirs where that we can have the water resources. Those are the challenges that we need to be discussing and talking about. And over the last 8+ years, I've been very engaged in laying out ideas. All of them hadn't been accepted, but the fact of the matter is I'm not afraid to lay out new ideas and have that discussion with the people of the state of Texas, and the ones that do make a lot of sense, that do move this state forward. I don't think there is a question that this is the state that people in this country would rather live in. I might not get every governor to admit publicly that they'd like to be the governor of the state of Texas, but I guarantee you every governor in this country would dearly love, like I did last year, to stand up and talk about balancing their budget, cutting taxes for 40,000 small businesses, and leaving upwards of $8 billion in a rainy day fund. That is the type of leadership and the type of vision that people in the state of Texas appreciate.
Huh. I am sure that I've made mistakes, probably have voted wrong on some issues. I can't just off the top of my head think of a big mistake. Well, oh yes, well, I do think that in the vote that would restore the financial institutions, I didn't make a mistake with the information that we had. And certainly Governor Perry had also, and Governor Palin said that she too believed that we had to act to stop the financial ruin of our country. But instead of voting for $700 billion, we split it and we said, no, we're not going to give a $700 billion blank check. We're going to authorize $350 billion, and we're going to see how it works. When we saw that it was not working, then Senator Cornyn and I and so many other Republicans voted against the second half. That has not been represented correctly by Governor Perry, but that is exactly what happened. If I had it to do again, I would put more strings on the $350 billion, or perhaps see if we could do less. We were told that there had to be all of this to give the confidence in the markets so that the markets wouldn't collapse. You know, sometimes you, just like Governor Perry said, we need to have the bailout. Senators working with President Bush had confidence that we needed to do it or wouldn't have been asked. But I think in retrospect, I would certainly try to put more strings on so that they couldn't do what they're doing now, which is making it a revolving account. What we had said is that the money would be paid back and it would go back to pay down debt. That's not being done. And so I guess in retrospect, we would all like to see how you can assure that the right thing is done, but assure that there's always the ability to come back and know that what you were told is actually going to happen.